Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the story of one of history's most, well, formidable is putting it lightly, Genghis Khan.
So let's just get right to it. How on earth does a boy, abandoned and left for dead, become the ruler of the largest land empire the world has ever seen? I mean, it sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, right? To get to the bottom of it, we have to go back to the very beginning of his journey, a journey that literally changed the world.
All right, so to start, you have to forget the name Genghis Khan. He wasn't born a conqueror. Our story begins with a boy named Temujin, born around 1162 into a world that was, well, brutal and unforgiving doesn't even begin to cover it.
I mean, look at this timeline. His childhood was just one nightmare after another. His dad, a minor chief, gets poisoned when Temujin is just 8 years old. The very next year, his own tribe, his own people, just abandon his family. They leave them to starve in the middle of the unforgiving steppe. This desperation gets so bad that as a teenager, Temujin actually kills his own half-brother in a fight over food. Just think about that. The big lesson he learned? It was simple and it was powerful. Weakness was a death sentence. Survival was everything.
But here's the crazy part. Even as this complete outcast, this nobody, Temujin had this charisma, this magnetic personality. People were just drawn to his sheer force of will. And his most important early connection was with a young noble named Jamuka. They became Anda, blood brothers, which was the most sacred pact you could make. And this bond, this oath of loyalty, it was going to define both of their lives and ultimately put them on a path to destroy each other.
Okay, so as Temujin starts gathering his first allies, he's slowly, surely building a power base. But here's the thing. His ideas about how the world should work were, well, they were radical. And this new vision for the future was about to put him in direct conflict with the one person he probably trusted more than anyone, his blood brother, Jamuka.
So check this out. Temujin marries his betrothed, Berte, and her dowry includes this amazing sable cloak. Now, what does he do? In a brilliant political move, he immediately turns around and gifts that cloak to a really powerful chieftain named Togrul. Just like that, he's got a powerful protector. And boy, was he going to need him, because soon after, a rival tribe raids their camp and kidnaps Berte. So Temujin, with help from his new protector Togrul and his blood brother Jamuka, pulls off this daring rescue. It's a huge victory for him. But when Berte comes back, she's pregnant. And the question of who the father of her first son, Jochi, really was, well, that would hang over their family forever.
And this right here, this is the core of their conflict. It's where the two blood brothers split, and split hard. You see, Jamuka was an aristocrat. He believed in the old ways. Power belongs to the noble-born, period. But Temujin, he had this radical, revolutionary idea, a meritocracy. He didn't care who your father was. He promoted you based on your skill and your loyalty to him. And he shared the loot from battles with everyone, not just the nobles. You can imagine how this went over. For Jamuka and the Old Guard, it was a direct threat. But for ambitious warriors from every tribe, it was a reason to flock to Temujin's banner.
So, inevitably, this rivalry explodes into all-out war. At a major battle, Jamuka and the old-school aristocrats they crush Temujin's army. It's a total, devastating defeat. And then, poof, Temujin vanishes. For almost 10 years, he just disappears from the history books. Now, we don't know for sure, but a lot of historians think he spent this time in exile, maybe even serving the powerful Jin dynasty in China, learning, watching, figuring out how a real empire is run.
And then, around 1196, he's back. And he isn't weakened by his time away. No, he returns with a whole new playbook, a deep understanding of power, of organization, of administration. He's ready now, ready to build his nation.
But it wasn't a straight shot to the top. After another major defeat, he's on the run again, this time with just a handful of followers from all different tribes. They end up at this muddy lake called Beljuna. And there, at their absolute lowest point, they do something incredible. They swear an oath. They literally drink the muddy water together and pledge their undying loyalty, not to their old tribes, but to each other and to Temujin. This moment, the Beljuna Covenant, this is what forged the absolute, unbreakable core of his future empire.
From that point on, there was no stopping him. For the next 10 years, he just systematically took out every single rival. That includes his old protector, Togrul, and yes, finally, his blood brother, Jamuka. By 1206, that was it. He was the undisputed master of the Mongolian steppe. So he calls this massive assembly a Kurultai, bringing all the chieftains together. And at that meeting, they declare him the one and only ruler.
And that's the moment he ceases to be Temujin, the outcast kid. He's given a new title, Genghis Khan. Now, nobody's 100% sure what it means, but the best guess is something like Oceanic Ruler or Universal Ruler. And that name, it was a declaration. It told the whole world that his ambition wasn't just to rule the steppe. He was thinking much, much bigger.
And this, right here, is where you see his true genius. He wasn't just a warlord, he was a nation builder. He completely re-engineered Mongol society. He broke up all the old, troublesome tribal loyalties by organizing his entire people into military units of tens, hundreds, and thousands. He created a single law code for everyone, the Yasa. He built an elite personal bodyguard, the Keshik, that also served as a training ground for his best and brightest. This wasn't just about winning battles anymore. This was about creating a unified, loyal nation from scratch.
So let's recap. He's got a unified people. He's got a disciplined, loyal, and terrifyingly effective army. So what's next? Well, Genghis Khan turns his gaze outward, and he's about to unleash a storm on the world that will literally redraw the maps.
First, he goes after the kingdoms in China, securing his backyard and culminating in the capture of what is now Beijing. But the real game changer, the moment that turns the Mongols west, comes in 1219. The leader of the massive Khwarezmian Empire makes a catastrophic mistake. He insults Genghis Khan by murdering his envoys. And in doing so, he basically invited the full, unrestrained fury of the Mongol army into his lands. It was a mistake that would change Central Asia forever.
The scale of what happened next, it's honestly hard to wrap your head around. We have accounts from Persian historians who were there, who saw the aftermath. And they claimed that in just 3 cities, the Mongols killed more than 5.7 million people.
Okay, so let's be fair. Those numbers are probably an exaggeration. The historians were, horrified and trying to capture the sheer terror of it all. But even if the numbers are high, the reality was still unbelievably catastrophic. Any city that resisted was, for all intents and purposes, erased from existence. And it was this brutal, terrifying efficiency that carved out the largest single land empire in the history of the world, an empire stretching all the way from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea.
But of course, he didn't live forever. Genghis Khan died in 1227, while on his final campaign. But his death, that was just the beginning of a legacy that is just as complex and controversial today as it was then.
So how did he die? We're not totally sure. The official story is that he fell from his horse, but it could have been an illness. And true to form, he had a plan. He ordered his death to be kept a complete secret until the campaign was finished. His body was then carried back to Mongolia and buried in a secret, unmarked grave somewhere in the mountains, a grave that has never, ever been found. But maybe the most important thing he did before he died was to secure the future. He passed over his older, more volatile sons and chose his third son, Ogedei, who was known for being charismatic and generous, to be the next great Khan.
And this really brings us to the great paradox of Genghis Khan. If you go to Mongolia today, he's a national hero. He is the founding father of their nation. His face is on their money. There are giant statues of him. But if you go to places like Iran or Russia or the Middle East, places his armies conquered, his name means something else entirely. It means barbarism, destruction, a terror that set their civilizations back for centuries.
So, where does that leave us? How are we supposed to see him? Is he the unifier who forged a nation from nothing, or the brutal conqueror who annihilated entire civilizations? His life forces us to ask a really tough question. Can one person be both those things at the same time? A nation builder and a world destroyer? Honestly, it's a question history is still wrestling with today.